It was a chilly autumn morning when Kiara, a young black woman in her mid-eyes, wrapped her worn-out coat tightly around herself and hurried toward the bus stop. The city was just waking up, with the streets filled with the scent of coffee and fresh bread from nearby bakeries. Life had never been easy for Kiara. She grew up in the foster system after losing her mother to illness and her father to prison. Despite her struggles, Kiara remained kind-hearted and determined to make a difference in the world. On this particular day, she was on her way to yet another job interview, hoping to find steady work after months of rejection. As she approached the bus stop, her attention was drawn to an elderly man sitting alone on the bench. His clothes were tattered, his shoes worn through, and his frail body shivered uncontrollably in the morning cold. His pale face hinted at exhaustion and hunger. People passed by without a second glance, too busy with their own lives to notice or care. But Kiara couldn't ignore him. She sat down beside him and gently asked, "Sir, are you okay?" The old man looked up, his eyes filled with sadness and pain. I don't feel so good, miss," he whispered, his voice weak. Without hesitation, Kiara took off her scarf and wrapped it around his neck, trying to keep him warm. She offered him the sandwich she had packed for herself, watching as he gratefully accepted and ate slowly, savoring every bite. Moments later, the man clutched his chest and gasped for air, his body trembling. Panic surged through Kiara as she realized he was in serious trouble. She sprang to action, calling 911, her hands shaking as she tried to comfort him. A small crowd gathered, some curious, others genuinely concerned, but it was Kiara who stayed by his side, holding his hand and reassuring him that help was on the way. When the ambulance arrived, the paramedics praised Kiara for her quick thinking. They told her that without her help, the man might not have made it. As they loaded him onto the stretcher, the old man gripped her hand tightly and said, "Thank you, my dear. You've saved my life. You have no idea what this means." Kiara watched as the ambulance disappeared into the distance, feeling a strange mix of relief and worry. She missed her bus and the job interview, but somehow, it didn't matter. What mattered was that she had done the right thing. Little did she know that this moment of compassion would set into motion a chain of events that would change her life forever. Later that evening, as Kiara returned to her small apartment, tired and uncertain about the future, she couldn't stop thinking about the old man. She hoped he was okay. Days passed, and Kiara continued her job search, facing rejection after rejection. One cold afternoon, she returned home to find an envelope slipped under her door. Inside was a handwritten note. "Dear Kiara, please meet me at the Willow Park bench at noon tomorrow. A grateful friend." Curious and a little nervous, Kiara went to the park the next day. There, sitting on the bench, was the elderly man she had helped, looking healthier and stronger. He stood as she approached and smiled warmly. "Kiara," he said, "I've been looking for you. I wanted to thank you properly." The man introduced himself as Edward Whitmore, a retired businessman who had once been wealthy but had fallen on hard times after losing his wife and son. He had given up on life, but Kiara's kindness had reminded him that there was still good in the world. Over the next few hours, they talked, sharing their stories and finding comfort in each other's company. Edward revealed that he had made arrangements to regain control of his late son's estate, which he had neglected in his grief. He insisted on helping Kiara, offering her a job as his personal assistant. Kiara was stunned. She had never expected anything in return for her kindness, but she accepted, grateful for the opportunity. As the days turned into weeks, Kiara's life began to transform. She moved into a safer neighborhood, started saving money, and even enrolled in night classes to pursue her dream of becoming a social worker. Edward became like family to her, and together, they dedicated their time to helping others in need. But just as everything seemed to be falling into place, a shadow from Edward's past emerged, threatening to undo all they had built. And so, began a new chapter of courage, loyalty, and unexpected twists that would test Kiara's strength and determination like never before. Stay with us to see what happens next in this incredible true to life story, and don't forget to... The winter air was biting as Kiara walked alongside Edward into the grand office building that now bore his family's name once again. The past few months had been a whirlwind. Edward had regained much of his fortune after sorting through the tangled mess his grief had left behind. His trust in Kiara had grown deeper by the day. She handled everything with grace: business meetings, charity events, and the daily logistics of Edward's life. But beneath the surface of their newfound success, trouble was brewing. A distant relative of Edward's, a nephew named Victor, had caught wind of Edward's return to fortune and was determined to claim a piece of it. Victor was cunning, manipulative, and bitter that Edward had left him out of the will years ago after his shady dealings came to light. At first, Victor tried to charm his way back into Edward's good graces. He showed up unannounced at Edward's home, bringing expensive gifts and fake smiles. Kiara saw through him immediately. She watched how his eyes darkened whenever Edward praised Kiara, how his compliments were laced with envy. Despite her warnings, Edward wanted to believe his nephew had changed. But one evening, as Kiara worked late reviewing documents, she stumbled upon a file Victor had left on Edward's desk. The papers detailed a scheme to transfer ownership of Edward's properties into Victor's name through forged signatures and legal loopholes. Kiara's heart pounded as she realized the danger. Without hesitation, she gathered the evidence and confronted Edward. At first, Edward was reluctant to believe that his own flesh and blood could betray him, but Kiara's honesty and the irrefutable proof opened his eyes. Together, they took swift action, hiring legal experts to block Victor's plans and securing Edward's estate. The battle wasn't easy. Victor fought back, using every dirty trick he could muster. He spread lies about Kiara in the press, accusing her of manipulating Edward for his wealth. But Kiara stood strong, refusing to let hatred and greed win. Through it all, she remembered where she came from, the values her mother had taught her, about kindness, integrity, and standing up for what's right. As the legal fight came to a close, Kiara and Edward not only protected what they had built, but also exposed Victor's crimes, ensuring he faced justice. In the end, Edward rewrote his will, naming Kiara as the rightful executor of his estate, and the head of a new charitable foundation dedicated to helping underprivileged youth. Kiara had come full circle, from a struggling young woman at a bus stop to a powerful force for good, changing lives just as she had once changed Edward's. Her story became an inspiration, a reminder that one act of kindness can set off a ripple effect that transforms the world. And so, as Kiara stood at the foundation's opening ceremony, looking out at the crowd of young people who would now have opportunities she had once only dreamed of, she felt a deep sense of purpose. The old man she had saved had indeed changed her life forever, and through her, countless others would find hope and a brighter future. This is the power of compassion. This is the power of courage. This is the power of a stranger's kindness. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories that will touch your heart and inspire your soul. Your support helps us continue to share these life-changing tales.